Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah. Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah. TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV and another podcast with Calvin and Barry. We are discussing the Sacramento Kings opening night loss to the Utah Jazz, 110-101. Unfortunately, they spoiled the 5th anniversary at Golden One Center. Really tough game tonight, huh, Cal?
Yeah, very tough game tonight. This game had playoff intensity and preseason execution. It was a bit of a sloppy game for both teams, not just for Sacramento. But despite all of that, the Kings were in this game the whole way, controlled the game for most, or I would say probably 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
And they were in a position to win at the end. They just couldn't make shots.
Yeah, it was an entertaining game. You know, we had an ejection, a foul out. Kings controlled the majority of the game, and then they just couldn't do it at the end. Davion Mitchell did not do what he did to Dame Lillard to Donovan Mitchell tonight. He was making threes all night long, a quiet 27 points, but he had the nail in the coffin late, and just tough game for the Kings, huh?
Definitely. But I don't want that to take away from what Davion Mitchell did defensively tonight. Donovan Mitchell got a lot of his points when Davion was not guarding him. Late in the game, he was matched up with him for most of the fourth quarter, and he had some phenomenal defensive possessions against one of the best players in the entire world. So
yep,
it was great to see.
So welcome back, everyone, to Royal Rebounds TV. Make sure you guys hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to join the Royal family. And make sure you hit that notification cowbell so you find out when Calvin and I put out a new video. As many of you might have known, Calvin and I released Season 2, Episode 1 of the Royal Report today. Unfortunately, it came out a little bit late during the game. We had some technical difficulties, so please bear with us with that. When you are watching the video, picture yourself this morning all happy, undefeated season, 1-0. I was wrong. I predicted the Kings to win this game tonight. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite do it. But make sure you guys check out that video. And next week, we will have another episode out on Friday. It'll be out a little bit earlier. And make sure you guys check it out.
Definitely.
All right, so we got a poll here running in the chat. We finally got to see Marvin Bagley. Only 10 minutes tonight from Marvin. Do you guys feel like Marvin deserved more minutes, less minutes? How are you feeling about the whole Marvin Bagley situation? You know, a couple good plays from him. He had a really nice putback dunk that was called back due to a foul. But he seemed a little disengaged to me personally.
Yeah, I don't know about disengaged. I just think he's still trying to find himself out there. You know, he didn't get to play in the opener, and he only played 10 minutes tonight. It's hard when you get that limited amount of playing time. You know, you feel extra pressure on every possession to make an impact. So what I saw from him tonight, I didn't think anything was bad. I liked the effort that he came with. He only took 2 shots, so it's really hard to make a good solid takeaway from his performance tonight. He had 4 rebounds in 10 minutes, which is not bad. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it's hard to make an impact when you only get that short amount of time. But the rotation in general continues to surprise me, I guess.
Yeah.
No Maurice Harkless in this game tonight.
He didn't even play a minute tonight.
Nope. Tristan Thompson played very, very little. With how much Rashaan Holmes was in foul trouble, I was surprised at that. Alex Len got the majority of the run. I think Luke Walton is still trying to find what rotations make the most sense for this team and give the team the best chance to win. So you'll probably see this happen for a few more games to start the year. But I do think what he is maybe deciding is that, okay, this game, depending on these matchups, these are the 8 or 9 players that we're going to go with today. And these other guys, are going to fall by the wayside and either not get in the game at all or only for a couple of minutes. So,
yeah, he's trying to build some chemistry, and it's almost like a trial by fire with some of these guys. Let's talk a little bit about the starting lineup. I know in the very first game we had Fox, Haliburton, Barnes, Mo Harkless, and Rashaan Holmes. Tonight they're playing against a little bit bigger team in Utah. They switch it up, and they start Terrence Davis. Yeah. He's actually a little bit smaller than Mo Harkless.
Yeah.
Interesting lineup, right?
Interesting lineup. I do believe that that Coach Walton wants to play more small ball all around this year. It makes very much sense, right? Your best players on this team are all guards, and they're all smaller players. So as long as they keep up the defensive intensity, which we'll talk about, here in a little bit, it's been great these first 2 games of the season. As long as that stays up, you can get away with playing small. But the minute that starts to fall off, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I was interested, looking here. Terrence Davis was kind of thrown out of nowhere into the starting lineup. He only played 20 minutes tonight. I know that's a good amount, but it's not a lot for a starter. So do you think maybe Coach Walton had some regrets? Maybe after he shot 3 for 8, 0 for 4 from 3-point range, maybe he feel like he didn't have a big enough impact, or was he just kind of going with game flow here?
Well, when you start the game, I don't know. It's hard to say that that's because of game flow. There is no game flow when the game is first beginning. But I do think that the poor shooting night maybe took a few minutes away from him. He just wasn't hitting shots. He wasn't the only one. There were a lot of Kings players that just could not hit shots tonight. But down the stretch, the defense that Davion Mitchell played in this game is, to me, the reason why Terrence Davis wasn't on the court more in the second half. And to be honest, I think that was the right move. Davion, even though he didn't shoot well, he didn't really impact the game that much offensively. His impact defensively was greater than a lot of players had on the game tonight.
Yeah, and, there's a quote from him during, training camp, where he says, you're not going to make shots every night, but you can always play hard on the defensive end of the floor. And that's exactly what he did tonight. 32 minutes for Davion Mitchell, 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line. But he played incredible defense. I know he only had 3 steals, and I say only because it felt like he had a steal like almost every other play when he was on the floor.
Well, there were a lot of players that had a lot of steals in this game. They were throwing the ball all over the place tonight, but both teams were.
That rip away from Donovan Mitchell, that was incredible.
He had 5 or 6 really great defensive plays on Donovan Mitchell tonight. And,
maybe the shooting might have been because of the fall he had earlier in the game. I think that we were all robbed of that dunk by Joe Ingles, or as we call him on Royal Rebounds TV, Joel Ingles. He ruined that dunk, man. I'm glad he got ejected. I don't think it was really deserved.
I agree.
An ejection,
I don't think that deserved an ejection.
As a Kings fan, and he robbed us of that amazing dunk. He was all the way back here. He had his legs up. He was ready to throw that thing down. And we got robbed, so
that definitely would have blown the roof off of Golden One Center if he had put that down. So
I'm happy he's out of the game.
Yeah.
All right, so we're drinking some beers here. We're having fun. Another loss, but we're still here. We're still celebrating Kings basketball. The Kings are 500.
Our first loss.
They're 500,
Yeah.
so that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say another. I'm just in a habit of that, I guess. That's funny. Did you all check out the Royal Report yet? Have any of you watched it? Let us know in the chat if you guys watched it. Just came out. All right, Cal, you want to jump here into the box scores?
Yeah, we'll start with the Kings. Harrison Barnes led all scorers with 25 points. Again, another really, really solid showing from Harrison. 14 rebounds in this game, 5 of them on the offensive glass. He was really crashing the boards hard tonight. Even when the shots weren't falling, he was still getting second chance opportunities for them. I can't speak highly enough about the way Harrison has started this season. He looks totally locked in. And he has been their most reliable offensive player, I would say, to this point. Buddy Hield, 24 points off the bench, even though he did not shoot particularly well. He kind of picked it up a little bit in the second half. He came out in the beginning. I think he really wanted that record bad. He was just letting it fly like crazy in the first quarter. Missed a bunch of threes to start. I think he started 3 of 10 from 3, ended up 6 of 15, so not so bad. And congratulations to Buddy on setting the record, most three-pointers made in Kings franchise history tonight. So kudos to him. Outside of that, not too many impressive or eye-popping things to talk about in the box score for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox did have 5 steals, which was great. Like we said, though, the ball was kind of a little loosey-goosey all over the place tonight for both teams. So there were a ton of turnovers on both ends. Donovan Mitchell led all scorers with 27 points. Really, really impressive second half from him.
No surprise there.
Despite tough defense on him all game long. And Rudy Gobert, another big double-double, 17 points, 14 rebounds, 20 rebounds. 6 of them on the offensive glass.
I want to talk a little bit about Rashaan Holmes. You know, unfortunately, Rashaan was in foul trouble the majority of this game. We saw him take a fall in the second quarter, injuring his ankle. This is the second straight game we've seen him fall down and come up limping. It didn't seem to affect him the rest of the game. You know, he seemed to walk it off, adrenaline pumping, all that stuff. Maybe it's going to be tighter tomorrow. Who knows? But his time was limited. He only played 18 minutes tonight. He did foul out. We saw him after the 5th foul run down one of the tunnels to try and decompress and end up coming back into the game. I feel like he didn't deserve the majority of those fouls, but maybe I'm a little biased. I felt like the refs were calling more on their end than on our end. So you could tell he was frustrated, especially that last foul, where he's straight up and down. And unfortunately gets ejected.
I think that was the 5th foul.
The 5th foul. Gets ejected from the game. But, only 18 minutes, 10 rebounds, only 6 points. But I felt like Rashaan had a huge impact on this game. He had that offensive rebound late in the game with the assist to the and one for Harrison Barnes to bring the Kings within 3. So I'm just really happy to see Rashaan. He's engaged. I hope he can tone it down a little bit in the foul area. But, him playing 30-plus minutes a game is a good thing for the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, it's absolutely necessary.
And I think that they would have had a better shot to win this game if he hadn't been in foul trouble.
Without a doubt. The Jazz really hit the offensive glass hard when he was not in the game. Alex Len was the guy that came in to run the center for the majority of the time. He was out. We saw Tristan Thompson a little bit. We saw Marvin Bagley, but Rashaan Holmes is such a good anchor in there, and you could really see the disparity in the offensive rebounds when he wasn't out there. It's always a tough assignment to go against a guy like Rudy Gobert. It's going to be a physical battle all night long. So, I expect to see a number of fouls for Rashaan Holmes in any game like this, whether he's got to play Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic. The big bruising centers in this league are always going to be tough battles. Could the fouls have gone a little bit our way or the other way? Yeah, absolutely. You could say that every night. But the disparity in the free throws was really not that much. The Jazz shot 2 more free throws than the Kings tonight.
And 3 blocks for Rashaan Holmes tonight. Yeah. Nobody else in the game had more than 1 block. So 3 big blocks in 18 minutes. I'm just happy to see what we got out of Rashaan Holmes tonight. Unfortunately, he wasn't available to play a little bit more, but very happy with his performance. Very, very happy. All right, moving on here. So I want to talk about Harrison Barnes a little bit more. I saw an interview with Luke Walton after the victory in Portland where he set a career high, 8 3-pointers, ended with 36 points, a career high. Walton said he wants Harrison Barnes to be shooting at least 8 threes a game. He said he's a much better shooter than he gets credit for. 8 threes a game is a lot. And, you know, you and I watching Buddy Hield tonight put up 3 after 3 after 3 and made a decent amount of them. Just made me wonder if Harrison Barnes is shooting 8 threes a game, how many is Buddy Hield going to shoot, which is just crazy. So how are you feeling about Harrison Barnes and 8 threes a game? Is that right? More or less? How do you feel about that?
I think it's dead on. Look, this is the way the NBA is today. We're not just on an individual level, but on a team level. Teams are going to put up 35 plus threes every night now. And it's really almost every team. They're, you know, maybe the Knicks or somebody who really slows it down offensively won't hit those numbers, but everybody else is going to. The Kings have a ton of shooters on this team, guys who can consistently knock down the three ball. Some of them, you know, De'Aaron Fox has struggled a little bit early on this year. Davion Mitchell has struggled as well, but those are guys that can consistently hit threes. So I think not just Harrison Barnes, but everybody on this team, not named Rashaan Holmes or Tristan Thompson, they're going to be putting it up. From outside.
Rashaan made a 3 in the last game.
He did make one, but I don't want him shooting 8 threes a game. I will say that right now. So, Harrison Barnes has been the most consistent three-point shooter. I know it's only 2 games, but he's been the most consistent so far. He's got a great stroke. He really has improved over the course of his career shooting from outside. So, yeah, I think 8 threes is – it sounds like a crazy amount, but I really don't think it's that overstated.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA is a little different. It's changed. These analytic guys have taken over the front offices everywhere. We know the Sacramento Kings have a bunch of analytic guys in their front office. Yeah. So they're crunching the numbers, and they say, okay, well, if you can shoot 35 or 40% from three-point range versus 50 to 60% from two-point, you're going to score more from three. So they're pushing the ball more up the court. You have a guy like De'Aaron Fox that can run up the court, collapse the defense, find an open shooter around the perimeter. You already have a guy like Buddy Hield. You know, you have some of these other guys like Terrence Davis that can make threes. I think this Kings team is going to be a run-and-gun, three-point team, get back on defense. I don't know if they're going to exactly take what the defense gives them, but I think that every game they're going to be looking to shoot a ton of threes. So, you know, 8 threes for Harrison Barnes, I think fits into that formula.
I agree. I mean, if you look at the stats, the biggest disparity in the stats tonight was the three-point shooting. Jazz shot 41% from three. The Kings shot 38% from three. They attempted 42. And the Kings shot 22% from three. And they only lost by 9, and they were leading for most of this game. That's because of their effort on defense.
Yep.
There are a lot of great things to take away from this game. They just flat out did not make shots. So I won't expect them to shoot 22% from three on most nights.
Yeah. And, you know, they played a little bit better defense tonight. They only allowed 110 points. Calvin and I were celebrating the win against Portland, and I saw all these Kings fans posting, it wasn't a good game. They gave up 121 points, blah, blah, blah. Well, they lost this game, and they gave up 110. I'll take a win, giving up 121 over a loss any day of the week. Yes, they played better defense tonight, but it was a sloppy game with turnovers. They didn't shoot well. So, you know, I don't know what to do to help improve this offense. I feel like they just had, and dare I say it, an off night. But, you know, they played better defense. They just couldn't get the ball in the hoop offensively.
They couldn't. And they had good looks, you know, in the first half and the second half. They had wide open threes that just rimmed in and out. They took the ball to the basket a lot, particularly De'Aaron Fox. You know, that's one thing. it's certainly not time to panic on him. I'm not worried about De'Aaron Fox. I love his mentality and his game plan. It's get to the basket, be aggressive, try to get to the free throw line. He didn't get many calls tonight, and he missed a bunch of shots that, in my opinion, were pretty gimme shots. He had Mike Conley on him, took him down low, got him on the block, and he just didn't convert, and that's going to happen on some nights. But I think that going forward, you're going to see a more consistent De'Aaron Fox, and he's going to figure it out.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about De'Aaron. 27 points, quiet 27 in the first game. And, tonight, unfortunately, didn't shoot well, 5 of 19 from the field. I felt like every three he put up was short, which is weird because he gained a ton of muscle this offseason. I thought that maybe he'd be shooting long. I don't know, maybe he's sore or something from lifting yesterday.
Well, one thing that happens when you play really tough defense for the course of an entire game, that takes your legs away. And the first thing to go in a broke jump shot is your legs.
Yep.
So,
and we talked about that in the last game too, right? Great defense in the first half. They only allowed 49 points. And then at the end of the game, I think they allowed 72 in the second half of the game. Maybe it's them getting tired. I'm not really quite sure. Maybe they need to work some more on conditioning. But yeah, once your legs get tired, your jumper's short. And
that's another reason why the emergence of Davion Mitchell, I almost said Donovan, Davion Mitchell, is so critical to this team. I know we're talking about De'Aaron Fox, but this directly impacts De'Aaron Fox. The more that Davion Mitchell is on the court guarding the other team's best player means that De'Aaron can then switch off onto a lesser player. It's still going to be a tough matchup no matter what, but he's not going to have to work as hard on both ends of the floor throughout the course of an entire game, which is huge for your star player.
And don't forget, De'Aaron Fox is going against Davion Mitchell every day in practice, so that's got to be exhausting in itself. So, yeah, I don't think it's time to panic on De'Aaron Fox. He had an off night tonight. We saw him get hit by Rudy Gobert early, injuring his shoulder. That could have also played into the shooting woes for him. But I expect him to bounce back against the Golden State Warriors on Sunday. So nothing to worry there. Let's talk a little bit about Tyrese Haliburton. I know many of you guys were concerned after him putting up 2 points in the opener. Also, I think had a rough game. What was it, game 3 of the preseason? Only scored a couple, maybe 6 points or something like that. People are starting to panic on Tyrese, saying he wasn't aggressive enough. He's passing the ball. He had that fumbled ball late in the last game that almost gave away the win. But, I think he had a bounce-back game tonight. 35 minutes, 15 points, 3 steals. He was involved. He was more aggressive. Once he got that little floater going, he was making those. We did see him fumble the ball a few times tonight as well. But how are you feeling about Tyrese?
Feeling great. I think you said it perfectly. This was a more aggressive night. I think the people saying that he needed to be more aggressive after the first game against Portland was a totally accurate statement. It's nothing against him. It doesn't mean that he is suddenly, lost some ability or he's a lesser player from last year. He's just trying to fit into a new situation on this team. He's now a starter. He's playing in front of fans. I know you are saying that that's
he's a rookie.
A major difference. And you could totally see that tonight. He was feeding off of the Golden One Center crowd big time. But yes, the floater, there were many times in that Portland game where I thought he had a really good floater opportunity, a wide open shot, and he passed it up. Tonight was not the case. He was more aggressive. And him in that two-man game, that pick and roll, De'Aaron Fox might be the most explosive or dynamic player, but Tyrese is probably the best player in the pick and roll for Sacramento.
Yeah.
Because of his ability to make plays for others and that floater or that pull-up mid-range jump shot that we saw tonight a lot that he knocked down. So,
yeah, and by rookie, I mean he's a fan rookie since he didn't play much in front of the fans last season. If he was Ben Simmons, he'd be in the Rookie of the Year voting this year. Sorry, I'm not going to say Ben Simmons again. If you guys want to hear more about Ben Simmons,
we need to start having
watch
banned word on this show.
You guys can watch the Royal Report this morning that we if you want to learn more about Ben Simmons. All right, for everybody joining in now, thank you for joining. Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast with Calvin and Barry. We are breaking down the Sacramento Kings home opener, the loss against the Utah Jazz, 110-111. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pull it out tonight. They controlled the majority of the game, but fell apart. Gave up 35 points in that third quarter, and then the fourth quarter they went cold, couldn't make many shots, and just kind of gave the game away. But I want to remind you all to please hit that subscribe button. We love the Kings. We love Kings fans. We love to hear from you all. We want your voices to be heard. So make sure you guys write whatever you want in the chat. Leave us some comments down below, and hit that like button as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank you for it.
All right. If we get up to 10 likes here, Calvin's going to ring this cowbell for you guys. We only got 8 likes. That's not enough, guys. Come on. If you want the Kings to win, make sure you hit that like button. All right. So let's see here. I want to talk about Marvin Bagley. We have a poll here for everybody. Marvin Bagley only played 10 minutes tonight. He did not play in the opener against the Portland Trailblazers. The Kings failed to negotiate a contract extension with him on Monday, resulting in his agent writing a nasty tweet and email to everybody talking about how Marvin's not part of the future of the Kings. And he only played 10 minutes tonight. So I got a poll here. Want to hear from you guys. Do you think Marvin deserved more minutes or not? All right, 10 likes. There you go. Ring that cowbell. Perfect. And as many of you know, Calvin's birthday was yesterday, so happy to have him here, enjoying it. No hangovers on this channel, so we're good to go, right, Cal?
That's right. It was a pretty tame birthday, but you know, I'm not 21, so.
You're 23.
Yeah, that's right, 23.
That's a pretty sweet Kevin Martin jersey. You know, I went to a Kings game. I think it was like 2009. And I was in the very, very last seat in this upper deck at Arco, and it was Kings Cavaliers. LeBron put up 50 points. Kevin Martin had 40 points and went to overtime. It was an incredible game. I was really happy to be there and watching that.
I got to meet Kevin Martin once.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about Marvin Bagley. So Calvin, what'd you see from Marvin tonight, and were you happy with his limited performance?
Well, was I happy with it? I mean, he just really wasn't on the court much. You know, it's hard to really have a real great takeaway from a guy who played 10 minutes and took 2 shots. You know, I didn't see anything super negative from him out there. I'm just unsure of what his role is on this team now. I don't know what to expect from him going forward, and that's not because of how he's playing. It's because of the coaching staff and their inability to commit is not really the right wordage, but they're just experimenting and trying with new things, and I don't get the sense from this franchise, from this coaching staff, that they're that committed to Marvin Bagley right now.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. Obviously, this front office didn't draft Marvin. Luke Walton wasn't around when Marvin was drafted, so it's not like there's many people on this Kings team that wanted Marvin Bagley other than the owner. But I've heard that he's not as involved in these situations nowadays. But it was really puzzling to me. You know, Mo Harkless had that big fall in the first game. He was questionable to play tonight. He was a late scratch. And Terrence Davis started, which just totally puzzled me. You're playing against a bigger Utah Jazz team. Mm-hmm. I figured Marvin would have been thrown in the starting lineup. Even if he only played 10 minutes, you know, I feel like a start for him maybe would have been a confidence booster. Maybe it would have made him feel like he was more part of the team. And it would have given them a whole different look. But I also feel like if the Kings were able to win this game tonight, we probably would all be praising Coach Walton in his rotations. We would have said benching Marvin was the right thing to do. Just like the Portland game. I saw a tweet from Leo, Cowbell Kingdom, where he's praising Luke Walton, and he says, it's not about where you were picked. It's about how well you play. And Coach Walton has the courage to start whoever deserves, to play whoever deserves to play, and whoever plays the best. Doesn't matter when you were drafted and who you are and what your name is. He's going to play the best players. The 5 best players are going to be on the court at all times. And I totally agreed with him. But what we've seen from Marvin over the last 3 years has been pretty limited, but he's been pretty consistent, rebounding, points-wise. But it's just so puzzling now, this situation. It seemed like he had a great training camp. Seems like he's finally healthy. Seems like they brought in a guy like Doug Christie to help mentor him and bring him along. And seems like it's all falling apart now.
Yeah. Well, falling apart, I don't know. Or it just hasn't gotten any better. It's one of the two things. And I think it's hard to argue that the coaching staff hasn't made the right decisions so far. Playing these smaller lineups, it's working for them right as of right now. They were up by 18 against Portland. They controlled that game basically from start to finish with a minor lapse there in the third quarter. And tonight, despite a sloppy game on both teams' accounts, again, the Kings were in this game the whole way. They led for a majority of this game. So it's hard to say that this isn't the product that we should be seeing right now.
Yeah, and, you and I had talked about defense. Kings need to play better defense. Marvin Bagley's not known for his defense. I remember when he was drafted, they were making fun of his small arms. I saw some T-Rex memes of him. But he's got that amazing second jump. He's got the athleticism. He's got the motor. But for me, I was just so surprised to see that with Rashaan Holmes in foul trouble, Marvin didn't get more minutes. We only saw 4 minutes from Tristan Thompson tonight. Yep. Alex Len played 23 minutes, was really, really surprising. And then late in the game, we saw Harrison Barnes playing the center.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised to see Alex Len. 25 minutes is maybe a little surprising, but he's the biggest guy on this team. So it makes sense that you're going to play your biggest body against Rudy Gobert. It's 6 basically free fouls, that you can throw at him and give your team the best opportunity to really go blow for blow in terms of those big guys down low. That lineup that at the end of the game there, a little bit of an interesting situation. There's little time left. You need scoring. And I really believe that Luke Walton thinks those are the 5 best players on this team. So,
not including Rashaan Holmes because he was fouled out.
Well, is Rashaan Holmes better than all 5 of those guys?
I mean, for the situation, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, if Rashaan Holmes is not in foul trouble or hasn't fouled out, he's definitely on the floor in that situation. But in terms of your 5 best basketball players, I think it's those guys, those 5 that were on the floor there at the end. So, and yeah, they were trying to maybe, use some size or some lesser size and some speed to their advantage. And obviously, you have to get some quick buckets there at the end. So you're willing to roll the dice maybe a little bit more. And shout out to Harrison Barnes, man. The guy can do anything.
Yeah, he
hit
can.
8 threes in a game, guards Rudy Gobert the next night, has 14 rebounds. I can't say enough good things about him. So,
and it's funny, you and I were watching the game together, and as soon as they rolled out that lineup, what did you say? You're like, wow, this is a gamble. And it seemed to work out. If it hadn't been for that Buddy Hield turnover, that pass to Tyrese, it was a little bit to the right, and it went out of bounds. That gamble might have paid off.
It very well could have. And again, this is just a matter of it was a 2-possession game. That's 2 threes. If the Kings knock down their outside shots tonight, like a lot of times they do, then we might be talking about a different scenario here.
All right, so I want to talk about rebounding. You and I had talked last season that rebounding was one of the Achilles heels to this Sacramento Kings team. Obviously, defense is one, but rebounding, and especially, I guess, allowing offensive rebounds is huge. You look at the box score, Harrison Barnes, as you mentioned, is not a big guy. I mean, he's big compared to us, but compared to guys like Rashaan Holmes, Rudy Gobert, he's not a huge guy. He led the Kings with 15 rebounds tonight, 5 offensive rebounds. And then Rashaan Holmes had 10 rebounds. Other than that, we had Bagley with 4, Alex Len with 4, and Buddy Hield with 7. But De'Aaron Fox, Haliburton, Davis, all 3 rebounds. Davion Mitchell, only 1 rebound. He's the smallest guy on the court. Do you feel like this team is doing a good job putting themselves in a position to rebound? Do you think maybe they didn't get some calls tonight? We saw that over the back that wasn't called. Or do you think they need to make some adjustments?
No, I don't.
Or are they just playing against a huge team in the Jazz?
You know, the Jazz are a great rebounding team. Rudy Gobert is arguably the best rebounder in the entire NBA. So, but you look at the stats tonight, the rebounds were even, 51-51 for the game, and the Kings actually had more offensive rebounds than the Jazz in this game, 15-13. So it's just a combination of some unfortunate events. Rashaan Holmes gets in foul trouble. That leads to easier rebounding opportunities on the offensive end for the Jazz, which created second chance shots. And we all know how good the Jazz are at shooting threes. Yep. The best time to shoot a 3 is off of an offensive rebound. So just unfortunate events. I do think that the Kings' effort on the glass has been great. I love the way that these guards like Tyrese Haliburton, Terrence Davis, Harrison Barnes, who, you know, is maybe a hybrid guard forward type player, they're crashing the boards hard offensively. There were a lot of loose balls in this game, tipped balls by Rudy Gobert that could have gone either way, and the Kings just didn't get enough of them, unfortunately.
And I feel like a lot of these are situational, right? Like you look at the box score or the team stats for the game. Well, the Kings dominated this game for almost 3 quarters. So maybe they got the majority of their rebounds early on, and then in the fourth quarter or late in the third quarter where the Jazz went on that like 8-0 run, they gave up 35 points. You know, maybe it's situational, not getting these rebounds at the end of the game where you need a rebound or you need a stop, and the Jazz just get 3-4 opportunities to pass it out. A guy like Jordan Clarkson or Davion Mitchell, you give him 2-3 attempts from 3-point range, they're going to make one of them.
Definitely. Mike Conley, Bogdanovich, the Jazz are absolutely stockpiled with guys. And Joe Ingles.
Joe Ingles.
He didn't even play tonight. He's an amazing 3-point shooter. Well, he did play, but not really for most of the game.
I think he's
a great 3-point shooter as well. So
6 minutes.
So, yeah, I mean, I just don't want to overreact to this game too much. Yes, the Kings lost. It was a tough game. They were sloppy. So were the Jazz. But there were really a lot of good things to take away from this. This is one of the best, if not the best, team in the Western Conference. They were number 1 in the league last year in terms of wins. And they battled hard all night long. And at the end of the day, it's simply, sometimes we overcomplicate things. The Kings just didn't make enough shots in this game. If they would have made 3 more threes, we're going to overtime, right?
Yep.
Only 3.
And, you look at this year's Kings team, you try and compare them to like Kings of yesteryears, the comeback Kings. Those teams were known for getting down 18, 20 points in the second, third quarter, and then making a run in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And this Kings team is completely different.
Absolutely.
This Kings team they play ahead, they control the tempo, and then unfortunately we've seen it 2 games in a row now where they've kind of lost their way in the fourth quarter. I know they gave up a ton of points tonight in the third quarter, but they were still in control.
As they did against Portland also.
They were still in control of the game. And they had a chance to lose that game against Portland, but they end up pulling it out. Unfortunately, they lost tonight. But I feel like in the bigger picture, this gives this young Kings team more confidence, more situational experience in these late games against good teams. And, don't forget, the Kings have a very brutal start to the season. They got the Portland Trailblazers, the Utah Jazz, the Golden State Warriors, and then the Phoenix Suns. That's a brutal 4 games to start out the season.
And then I think they play Dallas after that, which is not an easy game either. And there's another one against Utah in there in that first 10 games also. So,
yeah, it's crazy. It's a tough. It's life in the Western Conference, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't cry. That's the way it is in the NBA. It's not just the Kings that have schedules like that. So, if you want to be a playoff team, you got to come out here and you got to win some of these games. So, and the effort is there. They've been in a position. They won against Portland. Yes, they gave up a lot of points, like you said, in the second half, but they made stops when they needed to, and they came out on top on the road. Tonight, same thing. They put themselves in a position to win this game, just didn't hit shots.
Welcome, everyone, who's just jumping in now to the stream. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast with Calvin and Barry. We are discussing the Sacramento Kings' loss tonight to the Utah Jazz. It's unfortunate. If you guys can get us up to 20 likes, Calvin will ring that cowbell again over there. And let's talk a little bit about Buddy Hield. I know Buddy tied the record on, Wednesday night against the Portland Trail Blazers, but he's such a nice guy. He waited to get home to Golden One to set a new record in front of all the fans.
That's right.
And he didn't just set the record. He put a couple extra on top of that, didn't he, Cal?
He did. He's going to put more than a couple on top of that the rest of the season. But, happy for Buddy. This is a record that he definitely deserves. It is totally his game to shoot threes. So.
And he did it in less than 200 less games than Peja, which is crazy. And don't forget, Buddy Hield won the 3-point competition just a few years ago, and he wasn't playing against any scrubs either. He was shooting against Curry and Thompson, some of those good shooters. And he made the second most threes in the league last year, which is incredible. And that's with guys like Steph Curry setting single-month records. What do you have, like 45 threes in a month or something?
Oh,
or was it 90? No, I think it was 90. Yeah, it's crazy. Really, really crazy. All right, so for Buddy Hield tonight, he did come off the bench again. Interesting that they chose to start Terrence Davis instead of Buddy Hield. I don't know if it's a old school coaching move of you're on the bench, you're going to stay on the bench. A guy like Terrence Davis, him starting one game is not going to go to his head, right? And not saying that it will with a guy like Buddy Hield, but if you want to send a message that you're going to be our guy that's coming off the bench and shooting threes, you want to stay consistent with that. So 26 points tonight for Buddy Hield. Shot 9 for 21, 6 of 15 from three-point range. He started off slow, but he made a bunch of threes late in the game. And 24 points for Buddy, which was the second leading scorer for the Kings, just behind Harrison Barnes. Okay. How'd you feel about Buddy? We saw him play great defense in the Portland game. What'd you feel about his game tonight?
I liked what I saw from Buddy. He's out there for one reason primarily, and that's to shoot threes. So he's going to have streaks where he makes a bunch. He's going to have streaks where he misses a bunch. But I love his commitment to defense right now. I can always see him sprinting back, in these first 2 games, which has been a really pleasant surprise. He's working hard within the team defense, which is all you can ask from him. Like I said before, I think this role that he is now in on this team and has accepted on this team is a great role individually for him. I don't personally view Buddy Hield as a star in the NBA. Whether he deserves to be a starter or not, that's a different question for a different day. I think he serves this Kings team very well coming off the bench, being that Lou Williams type microwave scorer, put up a bunch of shots. And, he's going to be in the game late in a lot of these games because of the fact that he can put up threes. Really unfortunate turnover tonight. He did lead the team in turnovers with 4, but that pass to Tyrese Haliburton that went out of bounds, that was a really key play there, opportunity for them to get back in the game, and a very unfortunate turnover that led to an and one alley-oop, I think, on the other end for Rudy Gobert. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Buddy. He needs to continue to shoot. That's what he is on this team to do. So,
yeah, I know I praised Buddy Hield in the last game for 0 turnovers. He had a bunch of assists. Unfortunately, he had 4 turnovers tonight, a couple bad passes, but he wasn't the only King tonight that made a gamble passing the ball. It didn't work out.
no,
But
definitely not.
I want to hear from you guys. I got a new poll going, whether Buddy Hield will win 6th Man of the Year or be in the running. Let us know what you think, yes or no. I feel like if he keeps putting up numbers like this, he's got to be in the running or pretty close to the top. We've seen guys like Lou Williams, who's not known for defense, just lighten it up, win 6th Man of the Year. So, hey, why not Buddy Hield, right?
Oh, yeah. If you can score 20 points a night off the bench, that automatically puts you in the 6th Man of the Year category.
I saw a crazy stat today, or actually a crazy number today, that Davion Mitchell was given a 7% chance to win Rookie of the Year this year. On that, let's talk about Davion and his impact in the game. I'll let you start, Cal.
D for Davion, right? I mean, gosh, it's so refreshing to watch a guy play that hard on defense, and not just play that hard. It's one thing to give that type of effort, but he actually has the ability and the skill to make it look beautiful. I mean, just as beautiful as it is to see a player with the ball in his hands make a great spin move or a crossover that splits a double team and goes in for a dunk. I love watching a guy be able to move his feet so well that he cuts a guy off driving to the basket, to where at one point Donovan Mitchell literally just handed him the ball because he didn't know what was happening. He couldn't get by him. As we said before, his impact on the game defensively cannot be overstated, and he is emerging very, very quickly as one of the better defenders, not only on this team, but I think in the entire league, and it's something that is going to really be a huge weapon for them moving forward.
Yeah, and the greatest thing about defense is it has nothing to do with your offensive game. You could be having the worst offensive night possible, and you can still have an impact on the game playing defense.
Yes.
A huge impact on the game. And we saw that tonight. And, we talked about the first game, how a lot of the things that Davion doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Right. You could look at the box score and you say, well, he had, 1 or 2 steals tonight, no blocks, not very many points. But that doesn't show his impact. And I think you could tell tonight he was all over the place, and it's contagious. You saw his teammates doing the same thing. I don't know how many loose balls I saw tonight where I saw guys like Buddy Hield jumping out of bounds to grab them, throw them back in. These are plays that a year, 2, 3 years ago, they would have let the ball go out of bounds. They would have given up on the play. Yep. Guys are not doing that anymore. And I think that is a huge, when you talk about culture changing, that is huge.
Absolutely. And one of the greatest attributes about Davion Mitchell defensively is his ability to play such a high level of defense without fouling. He's guarding the best player on the opposing team, the best players in the world every night now, and he didn't pick up his first foul until the 4th quarter.
Yep.
So
that was incredible.
It's really, really impressive to see somebody play that, not just that great of defense, but that physical style of play where you're up in the opponent's face all night long, and you still have the awareness and the ability to play that defense without fouling.
Yeah, that was incredible. I remember commenting on that. I was like, how this guy doesn't even have a foul? How is he playing so hard? Because I felt like the officiating tonight was horrible, and
it was a physical game, physical and a sloppy game. And
the beauty of not being part of the team is that we can say stuff like that and not get fined. Yeah. But officiating was horrible tonight. I was not for it, and that's on both ends of the floor, for both teams. So I think the Joe Ingles ejection was not warranted, even though I enjoyed it. It was not warranted. We saw a couple other bad calls.
It's easy to get on the officials, but let's remember, like I said at the beginning of this show, this game had a postseason type atmosphere to it, but preseason execution, and that goes for the players and the officials.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second game of the year. Officials are all of a sudden caught up in this really intense game, very physical game, and they haven't caught up to that level yet either.
Yep.
So,
and Calvin knows that because he used to referee soccer. You want to tell him a story about soccer? I know you loved it so much.
Anybody who's ever officiated a game on any level knows how difficult it is. It is a very uncomfortable situation to be in. And to be honest with you, the younger the players are in the game, the harder it is to officiate, not because of the players, but because of the parents in the stands. They're some of the worst people on the planet. If I ever have kids, I'll probably be one of those parents in the stands too. So it goes both ways. But, officiating is hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, they're underpaid and undervalued. That is for sure. All right, we're going to take some questions here from the fans in a little bit. But before we get into that, I want to remind you all to hit that like button down below. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We put out Kings content almost daily. We do live streams after every game. We have a Royal Report show every Friday. We break down the Sacramento Kings. It's geared for different types of fans. So, we know that everybody doesn't have all the time to watch every single minute of every single Kings game. So if you're one of those fans, you might like the Royal Report a little bit better. We sum up the entire week in about 30 minutes. If you're an avid Kings fan, you watch every game, join us for the lives after the game. We love to break down the game. We drink beers. We have fun. We try and celebrate when we can. And we still drink beers when they lose. All right. So before we take questions from the fans, I got a couple more things I want to cover here. We talked about the small ball lineup. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. I think the Warriors revolutionized small ball. We saw it with Boston. We saw it with Miami. But I think the Warriors were really this different team where they had Draymond Green playing the center. They had Kevin Durant, which he's almost 7 feet tall, so it's crazy to think that he's in a small ball lineup.
But they had this lineup before they had Durant. Let's not forget that.
Yep.
The death lineup was not with Kevin Durant on that team.
Yep. So we talk about why the Kings drafted another point guard this year. And then we got into this debate about whether all three of these guards could play together. We hear Luke Walton say he's confident in this three-guard lineup. He loves the three-guard lineup. And then we've seen him play other three-guard lineups while they're resting Fox or Haliburton or Davion. They're sending guys like Buddy, Terrence Davis. They started a three-guard lineup tonight.
They did.
So how are you feeling about this small ball? And then how are you feeling about Harrison Barnes playing the 5?
Well, that's not something that I want to see on a nightly basis. I don't really I'm not a huge fan of playing Harrison Barnes at the 4 either. He can absolutely do it, and he's going to be a very serviceable player if they use him that way. But I don't think I wouldn't like to see that every night. And tonight, it was a unique situation. Rashaan Holmes fouls out. You need offense. You put your 5 guards, we'll call Harrison Barnes a guard in that situation out there, and you roll with it. Overall, I do think that the Kings, what they're doing is working so far. And it's only, like I said, going to continue to work if the defensive effort continues to stay this high. The energy level continues to stay this high. Mm-hmm. They're continuing to fly around the three-point line. But these are their best players. So these are the guys that I think need to play. And
Harrison Barnes was part of that death lineup, but he didn't play center.
He did not play center. No, he did not. So I like what the Kings are doing right now. They're a guard-heavy team. Their best players are guards or forwards. So these are the guys that need to be on the court. I think they're gelling together, as a unit right now, and playing those guys around an anchor like Rashaan Holmes. I mean, you look at Utah, we consider them to be a big team, but outside of Rudy Gobert, they have Hassan Whiteside that comes off the bench, who is like a poor man's Rudy Gobert, I guess. But they really kind of have that same model. They have these smaller players that they spread around the three-point line, and they play a pick-and-roll style off of Rudy Gobert where they either find him inside or they kick it out for a three. And that's really what the Kings are trying to implement right now.
And we saw the Kings, win against the Lakers in the last preseason game. The Lakers talk about a big team. They're probably the biggest team in the NBA. Yes. And the Kings had a lot of success against them.
Yes.
With the small ball lineup. I feel like having these guys like Tyrese that are so versatile that he doesn't need the ball in his hand. He doesn't need all the shots, and he can still have an impact on the game. He can impact the game defensively. He's good at passing the ball, and he can shoot the ball too. But the more guys you have like that really enables these smaller lineups, and it gives you versatility. It's good to have a guy like Rashaan Holmes to match up against bigger guys. It's good to have a guy like Alex Len when you need 5, 6 good hard fouls on a big man. But it's really cool to see the way the NBA is evolving. And these analytic guys, I'm going to say it again, these analytic guys, they crunch these numbers, and it's like Billy Bean, right? They're like, okay, you put this guy here, we should win X amount of percentage of games with this lineup because of plus and minus, because of all these advanced statistics. And hey, we're 1-1. What else can you expect, right?
Yeah, I think where this debate really gets interesting is, can this work in the playoffs? That's the $1 million question. Yes, the Warriors did succeed. They won a championship with it playing predominantly a smaller lineup. But that was a very unique team. The Houston Rockets are the team that kind of gets credited the most with really trying to go for the small ball style in the playoffs. It did not work out for them. Can you win a 7-game series playing that style against a team like the Lakers, against a team like the Nuggets, against a team like Milwaukee or Brooklyn? That's a really tall task. So,
yeah, and mentioning the Warriors, the Sacramento Kings' next game is at home on Sunday night against the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk a little bit about that game for a minute. When can we expect Klay Thompson to be back in the lineup?
Gosh, I don't know. I really hope soon.
Hopefully not on Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully not on Sunday. I certainly don't want to see the Warriors return to dominance. It just makes things a lot harder for the Kings. But I think every basketball fan feels for Klay Thompson. The dude has had 2 of the roughest years of any basketball player. He just got left off the NBA's 75th anniversary team too. So it must feel like the sky is literally falling for him. I know he just really, really wants to be on the court again. And as a basketball fan, I want to see him on the floor again sometime soon. When that's going to be, I really don't know.
Well, we know James Wiseman's out. We know Steph Curry's been lighting it up. We've been seeing some good play by Jordan Poole. Draymond Green is Draymond Greenish. But, I saw Oubre, who's not on the Warriors anymore, ball it up tonight. I think he had like 25 points off the bench. Yep. That guy's a walking bucket. But if you were to make a prediction, on this Warriors game on Sunday night, what do you think it'll be?
Well, I think the Kings match up really well with this Warriors team. They can afford to play their smaller lineup and not have to worry about giving up too much size or worry about having to crash the glass extra hard. Yes, you still have to do that. But I think from a matchup standpoint, this is a favorable matchup for Sacramento. And what it's really going to come down to, like it does anytime you play the Warriors, is how much can you limit Steph Curry? Davion Mitchell on him, De'Aaron Fox on him. I want to see them use multiple guys, throw different looks at him. This is another example, just like Damian Lillard, just like Donovan Mitchell. These guys are the greatest players on the planet. All you can do is make things extremely difficult for them. Mm-hmm. And we hope that Steph Curry doesn't go 9 for 9 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Davion loves to pick up full court. So that's good on a guy like Curry that can make it from anywhere on the court. So I think that's a positive for the Sacramento Kings. But I really think it's going to depend on the health of De'Aaron Fox, his shoulder, after we saw him get hit tonight. I think it's going to depend on Rashaan Holmes' ankle. We saw him land on it in the second quarter tonight. And I think Harrison Barnes is posed to have another good game, be his consistent self. It's going to depend on the shooting of Tyrese Haliburton. It's going to depend on Buddy Hield, how well he's shooting, and I think the leader, De'Aaron Fox. I think if he sets the tone, I think the Kings can win that game.
I definitely agree. And the bench. I think the bench plays a huge role in this game. The Kings bench outscored Utah's bench by a lot tonight. I think that's going to be a big key for this game against Golden State. The Warriors are a little bit banged up. Their bench might be a little lighter than the Kings, so big opportunity for whoever it is coming off the bench for Sacramento, because at this point we really don't know who's going to be in the starting lineup.
Right.
But whoever comes off the bench for them, if they can execute and outscore the Warriors big time on the bench, that's going to give them a huge advantage.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you guys have any questions for us, drop them in the chat. We're happy to talk to you, Kings fans. We're happy to answer questions, support the team, share ideas. Love to hear from you. We also got a poll up there talking about Buddy Hield potentially being in the 6th man running this year. All right, Cal, so let's see here. We talked about Marvin Bagley. I was really happy to see when he came into the game, the audience, all the fans, they were happy to see him. There was cheers. They gave him a standing ovation. It was really exciting to see that. And I think that probably had to make him feel good, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I do think there have been moments in Marvin's career where he was maybe walking a little bit on thin ice in terms of his relationship with the fans. But we haven't really seen any major off the court distraction from him in quite some time now. He seems focused on doing what he can to help this team win, trying to turn around the culture in Sacramento. So, yeah, I think the majority of Sacramento Kings fans just want to see him succeed.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Calvin and I want to see him succeed. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We will see you all Sunday night after the Warriors game. Make sure you guys check out the Royal Report we posted earlier today. It's a Sacramento Kings sports talk show. We do it every Friday. Make sure you guys check out RoyalRebounds.com. We got some cool merchandise for sale there. You can follow us at Royal Rebounds on Instagram. Also at Royal_Rebounds on Twitter.
That's right.
Calvin and I are huge Kings fans. We love to talk to other Kings fans. And we'll catch you all in the next one. In the meantime, go Kings.
Go Kings.